Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event of the evening. Introducing from Damansar Uptown, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, weighing in at one Extreme Rules match. Here is your fellow Uptown Low Live, Cornelius. Low. Why is this stupid not working? Yeah, oh wait, anyways. Hello, folks, hello, indeed. How is every low doing? Welcome, Synth. Should I just like ignore you every time you mention cheese to me? Should I just ignore you every time you mention cheese to me? I might just. In any case, folks, good evening, you welcome to Cafe Cornelius. My name is Cornelius, professional wrestler and Butler Vtuber at your service. Also, just checking. Is my microphone back to normal? Is it no more echoing and stuff? Because for some bloody reason, I don't know why. Like, oh man, my stupid Stream Deck is like, it's like somewhat working and then somewhat not working at the same time. It's very bizarre. Let me just check. I'm just gonna like, let me just check something very, very quickly. Let me just try this out. Let's see. No, this one. Okay, and what's in the world? Oh, I don't understand my stupid. I don't understand this thing sometimes. Okay. One quickity second. I'll just do this very quickly. Okay. In any case, folks, for those who aren't aware, I am an actual professional wrestler, so I do stuff like this. Okay, whilst you all have a quick look at that, I'm just gonna reset some stuff. Okay. And then do this. And oh, you saw the person that was about to like slam me through the table? Yep. So before we get into the whole shtick about comedy wrestling, folks, I just want to remind folks that I am indeed involved in an upcoming pro wrestling show on 12th of July in Kuala TTI, Kuala Lumpur. I'm going to be part of this event, MyPW Full Throttle. And I believe we have just announced our main event of the evening. Carlo Cannon versus the Butcher Man. Champion versus champion. But this is for the MyPW World Championship. And this is an Extreme Rules match. So yes, folks, if you wish to get tickets for this, you may do so via this QR code here or in this pinned message up in the chat. Isn't that fun? And of course, I'll be wrestling there as well. Hope to see you there. All right. Let's see now. Let me just do a bit of this. Okay, let me just check this one more time. Ah, that works. Why do I have to constantly reset my voice mod? So bizarre. So bizarre. Okay, let me just put this away first. Alright, and then I'll put away my writing code. I don't wish to scare anyone off. Okay, so, whilst I have my din-dins, folks, firstly, what dinner have you guys are having? What dinner are you guys having? I'm having something just quite quite everyday, you know, nothing worth a shout out about. Although I suppose one of it that is, I don't know if any of you consider this unique or not. To me, it's not, but at the same time, it kind of is. At the same time, it's always going to be an occasion, whether this is presented to be, but not in the way that frankly speaking, like, and that is obviously eggs and bitter gourd, fried eggs and bitter gourd omelet, to be exact. You guys like bitter gourd? Have you had bitter gourd before? Fun. I don't know if it's because it's less bitter these days, or because I'm actually, of my millennial taste buds, I actually started to adapt to bitter gourd. But yeah, I mean, I will accept it. I'll never seek it out because I'm not a party pooper like that. But yeah, I don't actively seek out bitter gourd. If I go to like a mixed rice place or any sort of restaurant, no, ordering bitter gourd seems like sort of, it's sort of, I don't know. For me, it almost feels like antithetical to like getting a treat, because going to cafes and restaurants, that's supposed to be a bit of a treat. But ordering bitter gourd, look, there's a reason why it's always like stuff like coconut coffee, mango coffee. Heck, I've even heard of mint. It's mint tea, basil tea, rose tea, chrysanthemum tea. But bitter gourd, there's no, you don't hear of bitter gourd flavored anything except bitter gourd, right? You get what I mean? Okay. Rose flavored something, cheese flavored something, corn flavored something, bitter gourd flavored something. There's a reason why we've never heard that sort of thing, But if it's presented to me, will I deny it and throw a tantrum? No, I'll just bitch about it in front of you guys. Yeah. Alright. So, whilst we do all that, alright, stream start. And today's episode of Real Wrestler Rapport, where we talk about all things professional wrestling. We are going to be talking a little bit about comedy wrestling and comedy wrestlers in general, actually, which for me is a really, really fascinating topic because it's one of those subgenres of wrestling where it's considered niche. It divides opinions even within wrestling. To some extent, there are a lot of things that unites us wrestlers. But man, comedy wrestling can divide a lot of people's opinions, whether they like to or not. Whether they like it or not. So remember, folks, I am speaking from the perspective of an active practicing wrestler. I'm not in a big promotion, as it were, but I have wrestled all around Southeast Asia. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I'm still very much in the thick of it, So, if you're expecting me to say anything that's really like hardball or like very insidery, sorry. I'm not here for that. I can at least provide some nuance to this thing called comedy wrestling, because I have particular opinions about it for sure. One that I think is like not entirely dismissive and unnuanced, so to speak. Get it. So. Comedy wrestling. Basically, you see, wrestling that makes you laugh. Simple as that. And then obviously, so wrestling, comedy and wrestling. That's nothing strange at all. Even some of the most serious hardball of wrestlers, they've done some goofy nonsense before. When you think of like some of your more serious wrestlers. Let's say, think Gunther from WWE, who's the current World Heavyweight Champion, or someone like like Eddie Kingston from AEW. He comes off like the most realist of real people sometimes, or even like super serious guys like what's his name again? Not Hiroki Goto, his old friend. This is embarrassing. Katsuyori Shibata. So many of these so-called super serious wrestlers, they've got a bit of funny bone in them, They've got a bit of a funny bone. So that's actually a misconception I want to, like sort of like dismiss or like dispel sort of almost immediately. And that's the idea that super serious wrestlers are the ones where they're the ones that they don't do comedy. Comedy is beneath them, which is further from the truth. Further from the truth. Some of your favorite wrestlers have done some absolutely goofy moments in their lifetime. Welcome, Kim Games. Welcome. Hello there. We're talking about comedy wrestlers, but we're sort of I'm just sort of explaining a quick bit about even your favorite wrestlers, the most famous wrestlers: John Cena, Undertaker, Rock, Cody Rhodes, blah 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 blah. And yes, there is such a wrestler as blah 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 blah. They do comedy as well. They've got a bit of a funny bone in them. You kind of have to, in a world where combat sports and entertainment are mixed around constantly. Yeah, you better have a bit of a funny bone on you. I would say it's almost necessary. Like even the most serious of wrestlers, those that present themselves as absolute monsters, as absolute relentless like SOBs. Yeah, if they don't know how to work a little bit of comedy, I think they are doing a gigantic disservice to themselves. I mean, think about it. Even some of the most popular wrestlers, ever, The Rock, he cuts jokes that will make people laugh all the time. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's done some goofy segments before. I can recall somewhere it involves brawls, it involves absolute nonsense, stuff like that. I suppose what is even more contentious that wrestlers that do comedy, because every wrestler does some comedy here and there. I'm talking about wrestlers that specializes in comedy, or they do primarily comedy. The ones that you can dub comedy wrestlers. These are the ones that basically they primarily do comedy. Primarily, they specialize in it. Most of the matches are more comedic affairs, So that means if you're talking about like the current famous ones, what's your occupation? Professional wrestler. But I'll show you this real quick. Basically, this. And of course, VTubing. And of course, VTubing as well. So I double dip in two niches that doesn't seem to have a much relations, but in fact they do. Yeah. Just a tad. There we go. So we are sort of coming into I don't know if we're coming into an era where comedy wrestling is like starting to sort of take over. I don't know about that. But okay. Before I get ahead of myself. So who are some of these wrestlers that I'm talking about? They are comedy wrestlers. Like really well established guys, of course. So, folks like Colt Cabana, maybe Joe Hendry. To me, he's still considered a comedy wrestler to an extent. That might surprise some folks, but I do consider him a little bit of it. Mr. Iguana from AAA, who's gained a lot of headway in recent times. I think he's recovering from an injury right now, but when he was active, absolutely, Orange Cassidy, absolutely, my goodness, is Orange Cassidy a beast? Some of these names ring a bell. Some of these names ring a bell. To me, they do. In fact, some of these guys I mentioned, they've either gone viral, or they've gone, or they've practically main evented. They were like a big moment in an event. But of doing streams like I Show Speed, if you're talking about those roaming streams where there's a camera following them on the streets and all that, if you can contribute like a $20,000 to me in USD to me, yeah, sure. Folks always constantly underestimate just how expensive these sort of things are. Like if you've ever seen folks like what's his face, Sea Dog VA. If you know about his cyclothon charity thing, have you seen how much equipment he brings with him? How many battery packs? It's like literal satellite equipment. No, I'm not even talking about his bicycle. That already costs like that's the cost of a small car. You know, right? Imagine being a mainstream. Oh, that stung right into Johan's dancy wancy heart. That stung into your money mona heart, didn't it, Johan? Fox is Johan Singer. He's a good friend of mine. He is a commentator and announcer for Malaysia Pro Wrestling, one of the best in the Southeast Asian wrestling business. Oh, and so knowledgeable in Wrestling, so knowledgeable. Scared of knowledge sometimes. Yeah, like just his streaming equipment alone, when he's like doing like roaming stuff, like it will actually fill up an entire backpack. Like he's shown it before. It's like so much equipment, and not cheap equipment, mind you. Okay, I'm trying to do both pro wrestling and streaming here. Like my microphone alone is close to 1,000 ringgit. Close. Okay? It doesn't have to be. I just wanted this microphone. But if you wish to contribute directly to Captain Cornelius, you may do so in the stream elements link in the description down below. Yeah, and then there's a series of charity streams he does when he cycles across Japan. I just mentioned that, the cyclathon and all that. I think he did one for the, I forgot the exact name, but it's the one that Iron Mouse is directly related with. That was very gracious of him to do something that directly benefits Iron Mouse. A fun personality and camera is all you need, bud. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Sure. Just one camera. Just one camera. Yeah. Are you in? I think you live in a first world country, my good man. I think you live in a first world country, my good man. Spoiler alert: I don't live in a first world country. If I were, I dare say that I might actually be a slightly more famous and well-established professional wrestler. I basically come from a country where pro wrestling has only existed, like the practice, the craft of it, has only existed for slightly over a decade. Slightly over. I see Johan is starting to like vent a little bit. I can see Johan starting to vent a bit. Careful there, Johan. Careful there. Don't make me use this. Don't make me use this. By me though. Okay. Let's see. Where was I saying? Oh yeah, comedy wrestling. Do you guys have any favorite comedy wrestlers? You have any favorite comedy wrestlers? It's okay if you want to like reference some that do exactly both comedy and like serious wrestling at the same time. Like they are 50-50. That's also fine as well. So let's see. So I mentioned some already. Joe Hendry, Mr. Iguana, Coco Banner's like the granddaddy of them. Almost anyone from DDT. Bloody hell. Our Truth definitely counts as them. Our Truth definitely counts as one. In fact, I should have added his face on my thumbnail. I was thinking of Joe Hendry. I don't know why. I think why did I put Joe Hendry instead of Our Truth? He's sort of like been a bit of a hot topic right now, in fact. I'm a little biased since I've seen him live and met him before, but I would say Kikutaro is up there for me. Kikutaro, yes, I'm aware of him indeed. He wears it's not even a mask, it's literally like not a helmet, but literally like a sculpted face that he wears, I guess. So yes, Our Truth does count indeed. It's Ron Killings that's the one you gotta watch out for. But yes, Our Truth. I mean, the fact that Our Truth, got so incredibly popular, just doing exclusively comedy stuff, like constantly mistaking that this it's WrestleMania, it's Royal Rumble, doing silly things. Yeah, pretty much a mascot. Yeah, but the one that he's like, it's like it's not a lucha mask like yours lowly here. Not one at all. It's literally like, is it a pig head, or is it looks like a teacup to me. No, a teapot. Yeah, like a teapot. It looks like a teapot, but a flesh-colored teapot. I am terrible at describing this. I do apologize, but that's kind of what it looks like. Sorry, I'm just like, I've got this ice pack that I'm putting on my back, and it feels good. It feels good. Kurt Angle, for every all-time classic match he's had, there's just as many hilarious segments he's nailed. That's actually a really good call there, Steven. Welcome by the way to Cafe Cornelius. Stalker Ichikawa is another one. The fact he had so many big names and wrestling legends faced him and brought out the funny out of him is admirable. Oh, that's the alien-looking dude. Like, he had a retirement match recently, right? And his last opponent was actually Hiroshi Tanahashi, isn't it? Isn't it now? That's crazy. I believe that's the one you're referring to, right? The alien-looking guy. Yeah. So, I mean, like, what do you guys think? Do you guys have any thoughts on comedy wrestlers? Do you think they're just as relevant and as culturally impactful as like the so-called mainstream, quote-unquote, mainstream name, actually? You know? Because, like, I mean, if you look at folks like R-Truth, you know, like, he saw the only thing he's really won in his time as R-Truth, the main thing that people will remember, especially in the recent years, is like the 24/7 championship. But you know, when he was announced that he wasn't going to renew his contract anymore, it caused a gigantic hullabaloo, didn't it? Gigantic hullabaloo. And now he's back as Ron Killings, and it's like, and it's gaining giant reactions. That's kind of crazy. It's a testament to how beloved he is, you know. Wrestling comes in many forms, and there's definitely a place for comedy wrestlers in the business. Absolutely. I personally do think so as well, even though a lot of folks might not agree otherwise. I actually have my own personal experience to explain a bit here, actually. Hope you make it to the UFC one day. Sure thing. And in that logic, I hope that you can get your master's degree one day as well, Kim. Sure thing. Anyways, so I did mention that, you know, if they're really so beloved, if they're really looking such a reaction, then why am I seem to be suggesting that there's some folks that have a bit of a beef. They're a bit of an issue with comedy wrestling, right? I do, and I do think there is some folks, especially even within the wrestling, those who are wrestling, that, you know, do think that it shouldn't even exist in the first place. You know, it can be that extreme sometimes. Because I think there is a bit of a distinction to be made between wrestlers who do comedy, because just about every wrestler will do some form of comedy. Depends. And wrestlers who do exclusively comedy, or their main shtick is comedy, you know? I feel like my first exposure to comedy wrestlers were the Bushwhackers from back in the WWF days. Oh, were those the New Zealanders? Were those the New Zealanders? I can't recall, but that was a while ago. I definitely can't recall. That is the thing. So something like Kurt Angle, he is like right there in the middle, you know? Like, he did a lot of serious stuff, but because he did a lot of funny stuff at the same time, so he's a wrestler that does comedy as opposed to a comedy wrestler, you know? My goodness, Johan, you can remember your names? Goodness me. I just know them as the Bushwhackers. So, I think that's the distinction to make there. I mean, at a certain point, Kurt Angle was definitely a comedy wrestler. It's a short point. But then, you know, once he started suplexing people realized, oh no, this dude is a wrestler first and foremost. And that's what most of us wrestlers are. Still in school, but hope you get a master's one day. God dang, do we all need a master's degree? Anyways, it's crazy thing that before they did the comedy stuff, they were a pretty violent tag team known as the Sheep Herders, who probably wouldn't feel out of place if they were in ECW. Oh, that's interesting. And that's the thing, isn't it now? A lot of people think that there's this really hard distinction between comedy wrestlers and regular wrestlers. Sometimes you just need to book them in a particular way. Ask to, hey, can you wrestle this more seriously? And they will just do a perfectly fine match that wouldn't even look funny at all. Like, it'll be just your regular match, and it'll be fantastic, you know. So someone like Kurt Angle is a great example of that. You know, if you ask him to do something goofy, he'll maximize the goofy. You ask him to do a serious match, oh, it would be a super serious match. Look at what I feel to this day was the funniest ablation in Royal Rumble history in the 1991 edition. Goodness, you can remember that, Johan? Like, what happened to Luke? What happened to Mr. Bushwhacker? Number 1. Or number 2? I don't know. Comedy wrestlers. So what do I mean by comedy wrestlers? So comedy wrestlers will be folks that I suppose will be a bit like Mr. Iguana, Stalker Ichikawa, Cheeseburger, not Cheeseburger Kid, but Cheeseburger, Kikutaro. Those folks that are primarily known for that. You can also make the argument for someone like Orange Cassidy, early Orange Cassidy. Back when he used to do primarily comedy stuff. But that's the thing, isn't it? There are some, even within comedy wrestlers, there's different spectrums, different levels of it. Like, there are those that are exclusively just comedy and nothing else. And then when you get further to the other side, where it's like completely serious, no jokes wrestlers. Who's like on the very extremes of it, who's like literally doesn't have a funny bone in their life, who's never done even a shred of comic stuff. Who's the direct opposite? Because even some wrestlers that take themselves very seriously, even they would be willing to do a little bit of comedy, actually. I can't really think of one right now. You guys have any that comes to mind? Let's see. He came in doing his signature march, entered the ring, and Earthquake grabbed him, and he immediately tossed him out of the ring, and Luke was still marching around like... Okay, that's pretty fantastic, actually. Wow, just doing his shtick, even after elimination. That's actually pretty funny. How have I not heard of that before? Because that sounds pretty darn iconic. Absolutely. People know Tori as primarily a comedy wrestler, but he had a pretty good amateur wrestling background. Okay, so he veers pretty into the comedy wrestler category for sure. I have seen him do exactly one slightly serious match. Where... No, this was actually that match he had against Ishii, of all people. Where they sort of switched roles, where Ishii sort of like did a lot of the cheating and rule bending stuff that Yano does. And then it was Toru Yano that pulled out his amateur background stuff in an attempt to like throw Ishii around with some degree of success. So Yano absolutely can wrestle a straight match. Well, I would call it a straight match. But for the most part, he sticks primarily to comedy wrestling. On the other hand, his fellow New Japan contemporary, Taguchi. Taguchi also wrestles pretty comedy as well. Very comedic, in fact. But he has a lot more commonly. When you see ankle lock Taguchi, that's when you know he's being a lot more serious, and he'll like strap on that ankle lock pretty darn tight, and that's when he's a bit more serious, and he will like wrestle a lot more seriously. But usually, he will still do very good wrestling, but it will be primarily in a comedic sense. So there's a lot of it really is a spectrum here. It's not like you're a comedy wrestler and you're a regular pro wrestler. No, there's spectrums to this. There's spectrums to this, baby. There's spectrums to this. Never assume otherwise, you know? So, like, I would say, like, to the first extreme is probably someone like Stalker Ichikawa, actually. Stalker Ichikawa. I've never heard of him do, like, a serious match at all. Or get involved in any, like, sort of serious storyline, that sort of a thing. I almost forgot that Taguchi does go down that comedic route too. What do you mean? Does go down that comedic route too. He usually does the comedic route. Maybe during Best of Super Juniors, he might pull out a serious match or two here and there. Maybe. But that's few and far in between. And then something like right in the center will be something like I guess early Kurt Angle. And then when we get further down the line, then someone like Joe Hendry is a good example of someone who sort of started out doing a lot of like parody music videos, you know. But then when he actually wrestles, he doesn't really do comedy spots. He doesn't really do comedy stuff in his matches. It's in his entrances that's usually on the funnier side. But when he wrestles, it's pretty full on. Like it's lots of suplexes, lots of uppercuts, and all that jazz. Even to this day. Another comedic tag team I miss a lot: the Florida Brothers from Toyomon and Early Dragon. You're starting to speak Uzbekistani to me now, Johan. You're starting to speak Uzbek to me now. Like Florida Brothers from Toyomon and Early Dragon. What? Man. Johan, I can always count on you to bring up something so obscure that it borderlines on only you know it. It borderlines on. Did you just conjure this out of your mind, Johan? But I know it. I'm pretty sure they exist. But as to whether any other Malaysians or Southeast Asians know about the Florida Brothers, I'm not so sure about that, my good man. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, okay. I will say this much though. It's kind of hard to think of a wrestler that has never ever done a little bit of comedy before, because look, this is essentially a craft of pretend fighting, right? Spoiler alert, folks. Wrestling is a performance, okay? Alright, if WWE can bloody expose this, so can bloody I. This is not a hot take anymore. This will not get on the news. This will not be something scandalous. If WWE, AEW, New Japan, actually New Japan barely does it. If these large ass companies are willing to make documentaries that's all about the behind the scenes things of wrestlers and all that jazz, that says, hey, we're a show, whatever, big bloody whoop. And so that, what does it mean? It means that us wrestlers need to tap into that performance aspect more often than not, you know. In comedy, making people laugh can be either a byproduct or a full-on feature in what we do. And therefore, it's any wrestlers that sort of take themselves too seriously. Honestly, they kind of might get into trouble. They legit get into trouble and might not. Very, very few wrestlers do this. That takes themselves extremely seriously. Where it's like, no, I must be presented as like the toughest wrestler. I must be presented as a super badass. If they're not willing to play a little bit of ball, get involved with a bit of the funnies, the more performative aspects of it, and usually more often than not, guess what? There's usually a little bit of comedy involved. you might encounter some troubles. I'm scared of even saying that name, actually. But that's a good one, Steven. That's a good one, actually. Has he got involved in some comedic stuff? Maybe, especially in WWE, when he was known by another name. I do think so, just a little bit. But yeah, you don't really get far. Because we realized, we can't even work with you at all, it's that kind of a thing. There are way more serious wrestlers that delve into comedy than there are serious wrestlers that don't, because, jeez, you're just pigeonholing yourself in like the worst way possible, So yeah, I guess there are some, mind you, even guys that are like super serious. Like I've seen Gunther like get involved in some stuff. Obviously, he presents himself as a super serious guy. But has he done some goofy stuff before? Yes. Hell, have you seen what Zack Sabre Jr. has been up to recently in Japan? Actually, he barely counts. Like, he's willing to do goofy stuff, actually. Because guess what? Like, a lot of folks, especially in this day and age, we embrace the comedic side of things. But I suppose the contention is for wrestlers that want to focus entirely on comedy. I can only think of the time he was involved in that bizarre story involving Kevin Nash and the X Division wrestlers. Are you? Oh, okay. Him, I guess. Yeah. So yes. Even he would be willing to do just a little bit. I'm not saying that has to become your bread and butter. Just a teeny. Like it's saying a punchline. It's saying a joke on television. Such a cardinal sin, Something like that. Something even as casual as that, But I suppose the ones that still furrows people's brows are wrestlers that focuses entirely on comedy, or that's their primary thing. So guys like Mr. Iguana, and R-Truth, where that was their main thing for a long time. What are some of these contentions? Well, for one, you don't see them as like credible threats. You don't see them as potential championship material. You think that just because they are funny that you can't take them seriously, stuff like that. Like in some ways, like it's kind of like, I will admit, it's kind of hard to see R-Truth, especially when not Ron Killings, but R-Truth, getting himself involved in anything serious, and he definitely wasn't. But did he make people laugh? Did he get people interested in the WWE product? Absolutely. Like a lot of his antics were purely comedy, and in some ways at the time, like that was like great television. Another great example of someone that was primarily comedy, but you absolutely can take them seriously as a tag team, was this is a weird one, Breezango. Anyone remember Breezango? Like, they did so many skits, they did so many goofy entrances, but when it came time to wrestle, they went hard. Top rope leg drops, spinning wheel kicks, all that jazz. They were great wrestlers. Are you kidding me? Another great example is Santino Marella. Unorthodox as he is, he did make the final two of the 2011 Royal Rumble at the WHC Elimination Chamber in 2012. He made people believe he could have won. For all the goofiness that he was, for all the nonsense that he did, the trumpeting, the Cobra, the fact that he went toe-to-toe against Daniel Bryan, the fact that people wanted him to win. And I personally thought, I think even Santino himself is actually like in an interview with Chris Van Vliet, he actually reminisced a little bit. He actually thought, maybe I should have won, Because, and remember, like Santino Marella, before he went more comedic, before he had like one of the greatest debuts ever, I personally had one of the greatest and wackiest debuts ever. he debuted in Italy against Bobby Lashley, and his first match in WWE, he immediately won the Intercontinental. Was it Intercontinental or US Championship? One of those belts. Just immediately won. Like what a way to start your career in WWE, eh? Hey, what a way. You know, even though it was funny, it was like he's very good wrestler. His hip tosses were amazing. He moves super precise and sharp. And before he did all the comedy stuff, he was actually more of a shoot artist. Like, he did submission wrestling, for God's sakes. He pretended to be a Russian. That's actually the crazier thing. It was Intercontinental. I'm pretty sure it was Umaga he beat. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. So it wasn't Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley got involved in that match, but he pinned Umaga of all people for it. Yeah. But Bobby Lashley got involved in that match in Italy. I'm saying these words out of my mouth, but it almost sounds like a fever dream. Italy, Santino Marella, Umaga, Bobby Lashley. What is wrestling sometimes, eh? See? Wrestling's bloody absurd. Wrestling's so bloody absurd, and some people wanna take this shit seriously. Are you kidding me? I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. There's a reason why a lot of old school wrestlers still want to take wrestling, quote unquote, seriously. I get it. Santino is also an accomplished judoka and even competed in battle arts, if I'm not mistaken. He did. It's crazy that he's a judoka. It's crazy. Like, he even opened an MMA gym after retiring for a little while. It's crazy. I was saying, so there's reason. So what's up with all these old school wrestlers, being so uppity about comedy wrestlers, eh? Well, in some ways, it obviously stems from the fact that pro wrestling, especially in the past, was seen as quote unquote real, where kayfabe was a lot more where it was kept more lock and key, where you were able to like keep things more secretive, and as a result, because it was seen as so quote unquote real, people were like, this versus that will be interesting. It was like a real fight. So whenever comedy got involved, that sort of like muddles that narrative a little bit, doesn't it now? That muddles the narrative. Even though, mind you, even all the way back to the 80s, there was goofy stuff happening. And that brings me to another good comedy wrestler, Norman Smiley. Combat grappler, fight technical wrestler, and while in WCW, he got booked in hardcore matches and suddenly did lots of comedy. I've heard about Smiley. His name doesn't float around with me too much, but I'm aware of him indeed. You can always rely on Joe and just bring up some name that I find obscure. Mind you, even I think a lot of what I know is very much on the obscure side. So obviously, I think it's also partly because a lot of these old school wrestlers or guys that take themselves more seriously, they're also reacting quite strongly to things like backyard wrestling, trainees who just do things for the sake of it, and they are ignorant as to like the more particular arts of pro wrestling. Because again, what we do is not easy. And there's a lot of nuance to it, However, I would, say that comedy wrestling itself has a lot of nuance that a lot of people do not appreciate. Like to do what like Santino, Mr. Iguana, R-Truth do, especially in the ring. That's not easy. Like they think because that it's stuff that seems a bit low risk and more on the goofy side that is not easy. Again, comedy is timing. Tragedy is when someone falls to their death. Comedy is when someone falls into the manhole and he's covered in poo-poo. You know, technically the same situation, but one is presented as such, and one is presented in a particular way, and one is presented in another very particular way. A lot of what is done in comedy requires so much timing, so much choreography, so much preparation, you know? Like, there's this match against, it was the Usos versus Breezango. My God, there was so much prep for it. There was so much prep for it. Morning to you, Crimson Callow. Is that you? Because, you know, it says there, weep no more, for Pete's sakes. But I know you, I remember you've asked me to call you a certain other name. So, Crimson is like, I guess. What about you, Johan? What's your favorite comedy match ever? I think you have one. Lord, it's Crimson. I'm right. Do I got a prize? Yeah. Oh, do you guys have any favorite comedy matches, actually? You guys have any favorite comedy wrestling matches? What's mine? Like the one I'm thinking of right now, the Usos versus Breezango. Like, the Usos at the time were considered the serious guys, you know? And then the Breezango was just being absolutely ridiculous. Pretending to be grandmas, pretending to be janitors and all that. It was great. What's my favorite? Oh, okay, I remember one. And hell, it didn't even involve people that were known for comedy. It's the... I forgot what it was. It was two Irish wrestlers and Tyler Bate versus British Strong Style, which comprised of Trent Seven, Pete Dunne, and Tyler Bate. And yes, you heard me right. Tyler Bate was in both teams. It was ridiculous, but... yeah, it's available online, by the way. It's an over-the-top wrestling. I actually don't watch wrestling. I'm actually here because I enjoy your energy, fam. Aw, thank you. Aw, that warms my horrible blackened heart. It's like a century egg in there. Please don't use my heart as a condiment for congee. My blackened heart does not taste like century egg. Thank you. This is tough, actually. First one that comes to mind is a 2 out of 3 fought between Kikutaro under his previous gimmick of Ebisad against Kuishinbo Kamen from an Osaka Pro show in 2000. Okay, everyone. Round of applause. Absolute round of applause for Johan. Good Lord, man. I only recognize one name of that. Okay, no. Kikutaro. Ebe-san, Kuishinbo Kamen, Osaka Pro. I mean, at least I know about Osaka Pro, but have I ever seen even a little bit of Osaka Pro? No. What's my favorite comedy match ever? That one I mentioned with Tyler Bate versus Tyler Bate, the team of Tyler Bate's team versus Tyler Bate's team. That's pretty good. That's a really, really good one. No, I think one of my favorites ever was this was a while ago. This was the one between Orange Cassidy versus. I'm actually gonna look it up right now because I don't want to get this name wrong. Oh man, this was a while ago. This was in the promotion. It's a defunct promotion called Wrestling Circus. Orange Cassidy. No. What's his name? Okay. Oh, what's his name? Oh, shoot. What is his name? Bloody hell. What is his name? Oh. No, it's not. We're trying to think of his name. Oh, what is his name? Oh, Jarvis Cottonbelly. Jarvis Cottonbelly. Is it Jervis or Jarvis? Wait, hold on. Let me just check very quickly. Oh man, that is actually what I don't know if it's my favorite ever, but it's definitely up there. Definitely up there. I'm not sure if it's available anymore, unfortunately. Oh man, is it not available on YouTube anymore? Because it was basically a free match. Oh no, it's still there. Yeah, Orange Cassidy versus Gentleman Jervis in Wrestle Circus. So you guys can check that out. That is and that is such a different vibe from almost any other wrestling match you will ever see, and I love it because it's such a unique vibe to it. Actually, it was like a friendly match, so to speak. You know, like how like most wrestling matches, they had like super serious wrestlers. Like there's a bit of there's like a lot of heat and dramatic tension involved. But you know, because of the nature of comedy wrestling, sometimes it can be lighthearted. Like both contestants can come in a more of a lighthearted tone, and that's exactly what this was. So, so that match was such a, in some ways, like a chill and friendly match that you adored both of them, you know. So I really enjoyed that. Another one that I suppose another very famous one that comes to mind, even though it doesn't get talked about at all. Kenny Omega versus Toriano. A lot of folks don't realize that Kenny Omega at one point he came from DDT, for God's sakes. He came from DDT. Toriano versus Kenny Omega is like Kenny Omega at one point was like very into comedy wrestling. Like he was one of those guys like Kurt Angle, who he will do some super serious matches, and then he also do some extremely goofy nonsense as well. He eventually sort of like delved a lot more deeply into what I like to call main event wrestling, you know. And he did away almost entirely with I mean, he still did comedy stuff, but he's always one of those guys with a big comedic slant to him. But he didn't really do any more comedy matches anymore, so to speak. Unless if it's something like an Anarchy in the Arena sort of situation where or Stadium Stampede situation where absolutely lots and lots of ridiculous nonsense, then he'll go full on. But for the most part, yeah, pretty like main event level wrestling for him for sure. But man, that Toriano, if you guys have not really want to see Kenny Omega in a very different light, Kenny Omega versus Toriano. Johan can attest that. Oh, that nonsense was balls to the walls, absolute balls to the walls, comedic nonsense, and I loved it. I think one of the reasons why I'm again. I don't know how obvious this is, but I like comedy wrestling. Is it all I do? No, actually. In fact, most of the wrestling that I do is kind of like ye old regular wrestling. I've only ever been involved in one match where it's full on comedy the whole way through. And of course it was that match. In fact, it's still available online actually. It's that triple threat match between myself, John Day, and the Butcher Man. That match was just absolute ridiculousness. And I was involved in that a whole way. Yeah, that's like my one comedy match that was just absolutely ridiculous. The whole way through. Yeah, I'll link to it. One second. No. There we are. Here it is. So if you ever wonder where is this match where I got smashed through a table on, yeah, my most horrific spot ever was in the comedy match. Absolute absolute utter absurdity. And the most extreme thing I've ever got involved in was in a comedy match. Crazy. Absolute insanity. Oh man, that match. That match had so much nonsense involved. It was a wonder that I didn't flub something, actually. Did I flub anything in that match? No, for the most part, everything was pretty full on, actually. Everything was pretty on beat, as it were. God, that was so much. And that's the thing, a lot of people don't realize about comedy matches. Because there's so much they have to prep, so much they have to that requires precise timing, precise choreography. Hint, folks, a lot of wrestling matches you can sort of wing it. There's a good bit of it where you can wing it. There's a good bit of improvisation going on. And don't get me wrong, even in comedy matches there is some level of improving and winging it. But because everything there has to be like a setup to the punchline. Man, that setup requires so much preparation and memorizing. Yeah. A lot of people really underestimate that. And a lot of people think that comedy cannot make money. That's another thing. That's another big contention. A lot of people think comedy cannot make money. And I got 3 letters to say to that. 3 letters in response to that. DDT. Not the move. Or the chemical, for the matter. I'm talking about an entire wrestling promotion. There are literally entire wrestling promotions, not just DDT, mind you, that is all comedy. Or primarily comedy, you know? And DDT is sort of like the poster child of it. Unless if I'm mistaken, Johan. So, to those who aren't aware, DDT, or Dramatic Dream Team Pro Wrestling, is a wrestling promotion in Japan. And they consider themselves the variety show of professional wrestling. Which means there's a little bit of everything for everyone there. Which means comedy. So much comedy. So much comedy. Absolute absurdity sometimes. Like, this is a promotion that is famous for wrestling outside of the ring. They have wrestled in camps, like a camping ground, sort of a camp, trains, baseball stadiums. I think recently they did a water resort, a water theme park, someone's house. I think they literally wrestled in someone's house before, and they like literally there was a power drive into someone's toilet bowl. It was disgusting, but it's funny. It's funny. And there are whole matches that's all comedy. But that's the thing. But mind you, their wrestlers are really, really good. Hell, some of your favorite wrestlers are probably came from DDT. Kenny Omega, that's one. Kota Ibushi started off in DDT. Hell, Konosuke Takeshita, Mr. Triple Contract himself. He has 3 contracts in AEW, New Japan, and DDT. He still wrestles in DDT from time to time, actually. But obviously he's more involved in AEW and New Japan. But I believe he still has a contract with DDT still. They did a show built around Dan Shokudino storming the Cyber Agent Tower to kiss the company president on the lips, and the rest of the roster tried to stop him. Are you talking about Sanshiro Takagi-san? Are you talking about Mr. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Sanshiro Takagi-san? Yeah, it's him probably. It's probably him. Yeah, he's the mastermind of a lot of the nonsense there for sure. I mean, the fact that Danshoku Dino is considered like one of the headliners. No. And Danshoku Dino is all comedy. All comedy. He delivers pretty good power drivers. You know, once he stuffs your head into his tights, that is. But, you know, he's a comedy wrestler. However, the fact that something like DT, where it's such a goofy promotion, but it still produced some excellent quality wrestling. You know, again, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, Takeshita, all these guys. The guy that I want to sort of... No, Susumu Fujita, the president of Cyber Agent. Takagi spearheaded in the charge to stop the... Oh, so Takagi was the one stopping. Because you have to forgive me. Sometimes Takagi-san is like the president, and then he's the vice president, and sometimes and then he's the he's like the associative head for UJPW. Like the man in some ways sort of seen as like the acting head. So that's why I think Takagi. No. Yeah. Kind of funny that Takagi-san's like trying to stop him. Sami Zayn also had a few matches in DT, including the Forest match. Oh, Sami was involved in the Forest match? Oh, interesting. Why don't they wrestle in the Forest again? I mean, if that's such a good idea before, why don't they do it again? I think that'd be fun if they actually do that again. Have they repeated venues before, actually? Now that I think about it. Yeah. El Generico. Yeah. You were thinking of El Generico. Silly Johan. Sami Zayn is a completely other person. Are you kidding me? Generico, yeah, he's retired and he's like handling an orphanage somewhere. Yeah, he's pretty great. Another guy I would like to introduce you all on, that is actually still very much a comedy wrestler, but man, is he also he's almost as fascinating as a serious wrestler, and that's Mao, Mao, Mao in all caps. They've done multiple shows on a Bullet Train. I think I wouldn't be surprised. I know they've done Bullet Train is one. I know they've done it on a quote-unquote regular train before. I think that was between, once again, Takagi-san and Minoru Suzuki. Yeah. Fun fact, the reason why I keep saying Takagi-san as opposed to just Takagi is because I've met Takagi-san before in person. Yeah, on a couple occasions. I won't say why, but I have met him before. He's actually graciously visited our dojo before. Actually, it was pretty neat. Johan, you were there. Interesting times, eh? Interesting times we live in, eh, Johan? I was just thinking about hustle. Imagine taking super serious wrestlers and turning them into comedy actors as well. Best examples were Aja and Awesome Kong as Erika, and Margaret. What? Why were they given regular names? What? Aja Kong, I am well aware that she's definitely dipped her toes a lot into comedy as of late. She's pretty good at it too. But what is like, Mao. If you guys check out Wrestle Universe and you go check out Mao, oh my god, bloody stud. I hate him. He's such a stud. I hate him. This is a dude that can pull off a Phoenix splash. Like, he will jump up to the top rope. He will raw dog jumping up the top rope, doing a Phoenix splash, which is basically a 450 splash, but you're facing away from the ring, jumping, turning, and then doing a 450 splash. He can do that. But he's also willing to do matches where he gets like blackout drunk and like doing the conga. Wearing like literally bras and panties. Yeah. He's willing to do all that, and then some, I'm trying to keep PG here. Because oh my god, Mao is a troublemaker. He's a great example of a modern DDT wrestler. Like, he is in some ways like the epitome of DDT right now. He encompasses everything DDT stands for. Like, he's a true variety show wrestler. Yeah, I was there when Takagi showed up at the DC. Let's be careful what we say about that night, Johan. Let's be careful what we say about that night. And of course, to I think to the surprise of everyone, including yours, Lowly. Like, how in the world did Mr. Iguana get viral? So to those who are unaware, recently WWE bought Mexico's second largest promotion, which is AAA. AAA. So in Mexico, to those who are unaware on Lucha Libre, in Mexico there are two large promotions. These are the big two, so to speak. You know, as just like how North America has WWE and AEW, CMLL is the WWE of Mexico. They are like the old guard. They are the leaders of Lucha Libre. They are the ones that safeguard the traditions of Lucha Libre, so to speak. You know, so they are old school as it gets. They are the true representatives of Lucha Libre. AAA is and I'm not an expert on this, mind you. I'm not an expert on this. By the way, remind me about the DC train match the next time we meet. I will do so, Johan. I will do so. So AAA was made as a reaction to CMLL. AAA is like seen as a little bit more modern Lucha Libre. They're still Lucha Libre, don't get me wrong, you know, but they're considered a little more modern, willing to experiment a lot more, so to speak. But still very much Lucha Libre. Was pretty big news when WWE announced that they bought AAA. You know, Mexico's second largest promotion, and mind you, that's a big deal because Lucha Libre is seen as part of Mexican culture, deeply embedded. You know, and so it was almost something unthinkable, you know. But people were excited. A lot of people are rightfully a little bit concerned that WWE bought essentially Mexico's second largest promotion. Because that means that their influence on the world of professional wrestling is expanding more and more. And for a lot of folks, that might not be seen as a good thing. Because that means that, you know, as opposed to doing it in Mexico's way, they're now doing it WWE's way. And yeah, there's going to be some heads butting there for sure in the future. But for now, you know, a lot of the wrestlers in AAA are definitely taking this in stride, in a positive way. Because guess what? You know, getting that WWE buckaroos, oof. I'm ashamed to say this, though maybe it's also because I kind of fell off on AAA in the past 2 years, but I had never heard of Mr. Iguana until he went viral from his appearance at Worlds Collide. That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. I've never heard of Mr. Iguana as well. In fact, I know about AAA. You know, AAA is where Pentagon became well known. It's where Phoenix became well known. Of course, the El Hijo del Vikingo, and the one name that constantly gets thrown around in terms of AAA is actually Psycho Clown, of all things. Yes, there's a wrestler, a luchador, called Psycho Clown in AAA, and he is exactly what you think. What you think of? He is a psycho clown. Like, he even has the ta-ta-ta-ta-ta music as his entrance theme. Exactly that. But for some inconceivable reason, the predominantly North American crowd, when it was announced, that when the Worlds Collide event was announced, of all the luchadors that piqued people's interest, especially in North America, was the guy in green face paint with an iguana puppet. That guy, you know. This is different from something like Santino Marella, where his first match was a championship match. This is different from Kurt Angle, squirting milk from a milk truck into the ring and then doing a championship match very shortly after. This is different from Kenny Omega, who did all this sort of ridiculous nonsense in DDT and then could pull off incredible stunts. This was a guy, Mr. Iguana is a luchador that was, in some ways, not seen as like an upper carder in AAA, and relatively unknown to the rest of the world. And of all the people that gained the most attention in AAA Worlds Collide, is by far Mr. Iguana. By far. And my understanding when it comes to Mr. Iguana in terms of like Lucha Libre is that, yeah, a lot of folks actually don't really take him that seriously or see him as like a big star. You know? Like he's actually, again, he's actually one of those guys that so yeah, actually this thing, you have a good point there. Psycho Clown may seem like a comedic gimmick at first glance, but he's a top tier wrestler over there. So Psycho Clown has a little bit of a comedic thing, but he is perceived as a top tier wrestler. Like he's the one that you will know of. He's actually considered like a big name actually in AAA. But it was Mr. Iguana, far and away Mr. Iguana, that got the most attention in Worlds Collide by far. Why? Why is that? Now, so before I get to that, so let me just explain how he's so perceived, because I believe this is the case. He is seen as someone that appeals to like the very mainstream crowd, the ones that casually watches Lucha Libre, and kids, because he has a very like kid-friendly look. He does a lot of interactions. He has an iguana puppet, for Pete's sakes, So kids like him. Especially in his earlier days, he will also do like a conga thing as well. So he's always been doing comedy wrestling. But he can, as he's proven in Worlds Collide, he can do all the classic Lucha Libre stuff. The Rana, the Tropical Heroes. Like he's pretty good at all that for sure. But he's the one that got all the attention because, believe it or not, if you think I'm about to say because of comedy wrestling, no. Not because he's a comedy wrestler. Because he went back to the very fundamentals of pro wrestling. And that is, this is a guy that went full on with his character. It's just by coincidence that he's a comedy wrestler. So he is Mr. Iguana. He's all about the iguana life. What does he do then? Full on face paint. Full on green outfit. Iguana puppet. La Yesca. Like literally, I think before he even had a match, he just had this appearance in one of the episodes. When people saw him, they immediately gravitated to him. Why? Because his look suggests that he is full on with the iguana gimmick. Obviously it's funny and ridiculous that he's calling himself Mr. Iguana with an iguana puppet, but because he went full on with his character, like he was 100% into it. Like, and when he gets thrown down, he will literally go up on all fours like a goofy lizard. He will stick his tongue out like a goofy lizard. In some ways, this is gonna sound so strange. He is, especially when you compare him to like his contemporaries like Aerostar, Octagon Jr. In that 6-man tag match that he had. It felt like he was the only one that was fully, uniquely Mr. Iguana. No, and don't get me wrong, Aerostar and Octagon Jr., they are incredible wrestlers. So were the opponents. But what about them is distinct from one another, you know? What about them is distinct from one another? Mr. Iguana was the only one. Ooh, that was loud. Yeah. Mr. Iguana was the only one that fully moved like Mr. Iguana. No, like he did some spectacular acrobatic stuff as well. But the part that fully got the biggest reactions was when he was, when he was goofing off with Layeska, when he was moving like a reptile. That's the stuff that really got people like really invested into him. I'll never forget the spot when one of the Tokyo Bad Boys took Layeska, Mr. Iguana's iguana puppet, and hit it into the crowd with a candlestick like he was hitting a home run. Oh, the abuse that Layeska has received is crazy. Wait, who are the Tokyo Bad Boys? What? Again, surreal. Wrestling is a fever dream sometimes. That's commitment and conviction, right? That's exactly you hit the nail on the floorboard right there, Johan. Mr. Iguana went full on with the commitment and conviction of being Mr. Iguana. No, and I don't want to be so... I'm trying not to poo-poo on the other luchadors, but like, I see Aerostar, and he's like this spaceman. I see Octagon Jr., and he's this ninja. Okay. But like, what about them suggest that they're a ninja? What about them suggest that they're a spaceman, To an extent, yes. Like, I see luchadors, even to this day, they have some of the flashiest, craziest outfits possible. Beast Mortals, he literally has a Mentor's head on him. Mr. Iguana, full-on green face paint. And then there's a lot more involved. Where they try to go on, and then there's a lot more that I can't think of right now, where they are so elaborate with the outfits. But as to whether they go full on with the gimmicks, like if they're like let's say what's so Nordic and Viking-esque about El Hijo del Vikingo? Like, one of the reasons why Vikingo is such a well-established name right now is because he's such a freak athlete and does some of the most insane stunts in every single match that he does. But what about him suggests he's a Viking, And don't get me wrong. One of the reasons why Mr. Iguana became so an instant star overnight is indeed because in WWE, they value character work. They value your ability to go full on with your persona, They really, really value that. A lot of promotions do. And I don't know. It's kind of worrying to me that AAA, the guy that got the most attention is the guy with the lizard gimmick of all things. It goes to show that a lot of them, they might need to change things up a little bit, actually. Hell, even someone like Penta. What is he most famous for doing right now? His freaking Elvis Presley walk. His freaking model runway show walk. Like, he's also actually a decent example of someone that actually goes full on with his gimmick as well. He's Penta. He's Mr. Cero Miedo. He's the badass ninja. He's the badass ninja that does crazy stuff. And he's a bit of a showboater. Like, he's a cocky ninja, essentially. That's decently. But Mr. Iguana is like one of the very few guys that just goes full on with that character work. And in AAA, he was seen as, again, a comedy act, just a comedy act, because he didn't really embody that athleticism, that Latino machismo, so to speak, Or I'm going to use a bit of a four-letter word here. He wasn't seen as a work rate guy. Yeah, work rate. In WWE, it's clear what people like. They like it when people, go full on with their gimmicks, full on with their character work. And Iguana has, he's capitalized on that big time, doesn't he? Even for someone like me, I enjoy so much of technical wrestling. It is my favorite thing to do. I love to tie people up. I love to study it. I love to analyze maneuvers. God knows I've played back hours and hours of proper technical wrestling. But there's a reason why I lean so much into my own character work. Why I really play into the whole uptown low-life persona. I will bring in my bring in my whip. I'll wear the mask. I do my whole shtick where I steal the microphone from Johan. I do all that because I know that is what gets people's attention. What people gravitate to the most when I do my whole thing as a wrestler. It got me thinking about another comedy wrestler who commits to the role, though. This dude is a special case. Razor Ramon HG, who was a regular in Hustle. So, I believe you're not talking about the Razor Ramon. You're talking about someone else? I'm not familiar. I think I know who you're talking about, but just barely. So it's almost like Mr. Iguana was in like a different, like he really got people's attention because he was in the right environment for it. He wasn't appreciated he wasn't really appreciated in his home nation, so to speak, and not to the point where he deserves. But in WWE, which does, really favor character work and being able to put on a storyline. Oh, he's the guy that will flourish the most. In fact, I believe, in terms of merch sale, by far him. Kind of wild indeed. What a world we live in. That Mr. Iguana of all folks. So yeah, it's almost like validating to see someone like Mr. Iguana do so unbelievably well, And mind you, it's not like he's compensating for his poor wrestling skills. It's clear that he can move really, really well. He could do a hit spring and land into a lotus pose, for God's sakes. How the hell did he think of that, of all things? Crazy. Maybe I should do more stuff that is more befitting the uptown low life, so to speak. Maybe. No, not Scott Hall. Hard gay. Yes, I am aware of hard gay. Razor Ramon. Wait, that's his full name? Razor Ramon Hard Gay? I Hard Gay I know. I didn't realize that was a Razor Ramon parody. What is it with Japanese wrestlers and parodying Western wrestlers? That's such a strange thing. Because I was suddenly reminded of a match he had with Ken Suzuki when Suzuki returned to Japan and immediately went into Hustle. I see. So yeah. So Mr. Iguana is a really, really fascinating example of someone that just immediately organically grabbed people's attention. He wasn't booked in a particular way. He technically, he literally just debuted in WWE. Technically, he didn't even like do any wrestling yet, and yet he had by far the biggest reaction just from his visuals alone. When people found out, oh, he's a luchador that has an iguana puppet and he's full on and calls himself Mr. Iguana, I'm in. I want to see what he's all about. That's what people's attention in WWE. That is just insane. Do you guys want to see Cornelius Lowe versus Mr. Iguana one day? Hey. Obviously, that's a bit of a long shot in this day and age, you know, considering that he's part of WWE now. But would you like to see that one day? Mr. Iguana versus Cornelius Lowe, the Uptown Lowlife versus Mr. Iguana and Layeska. So it's almost like a handicap match. Dang it, Mr. Iguana. Does it have to be a handicap match against you all the time? Yeah. Wouldn't that be fascinating? I do think it is a fun match indeed. I do think it is a fun match. Actually, are there any wrestlers that you'd like to see me wrestle in a comedy match? Are there any comedy wrestlers you'd like to see me wrestle? Are there any comedy wrestlers you'd like to see me wrestle? Are there any wrestlers you'd like to see me wrestle in a comedy match? Any thoughts? Okay, firstly, even though he's not a comedy wrestler per se, I would like to run it back against Butcherman. I need a rematch against him. I'm not satisfied with that match, especially because I lost in it. But in terms of comedy match, I would love to do one. No, I know exactly who I'm thinking of. So someone that's feasible right now. Do I even want to invoke it right now? No, I'm going to keep that one secret. Because that one actually feels like a possibility in the future, and I don't want to jinx it. But if you're saying in a Southeast Asian context, who's a comedy guy that I could do this against? No, not him. Maybe him, but no. No. Dang, you want to see me wrestle Eddie Guerrero? Whew. That'll be interesting that the guy with the wrestling mask is not a luchador. Wrestling against someone who is very, very much a luchador, but doesn't wear a mask. At least not anymore. That could be a fun match. That could be a good match, but obviously that can't happen anymore. Rest in peace. Who in Southeast Asia? I'm one of the few that is very full. That has made it very publicly clear that he adores comedy wrestling. Who's willing to get down and goofy with me? That's the thing. A lot of us in Southeast Asia, we're trying to sort of take this too quote unquote seriously. Like, get it? You know, we have to, because we're trying to improve on our craft and all that. But that doesn't mean we can't pull up something goofy from here and there. Oh man, I'm actually struggling here. Joanne, can you help me out here? No. Maybe Ships Ahoy. Ships Ahoy from Grapple Max. If you know, you know. Yeah, them. That's a good one, Steven. The world needs Cornelius Lowe versus Joe Hendry. Write that to your favorite wrestling promotion. Or better yet, write it to my favorite wrestling promotion, which is Malaysia Pro Wrestling. Yeah. If you want to see that happen, please go ahead and DM Malaysia Pro Wrestling. You can find them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Man, me versus Joe Hendry. Oh man, that wouldn't even be a comedy match. That would just, it can be, But honestly, the two of us, we'll just smack each other pretty hard. And he's gonna try to just to use a string against me. I'll be using my technical prowess to avoid all that and try to lock him down. Never mind a funny match. That would just be a fantastic match. Yeah. Last thing, why? That's actually something that a lot of people think about. Why have it be even a comedy match at all when it can be a good match? You know, and I get that there is a little bit of a distinction between a comedy match and a good match. You know, because it is true. Not every comedic wrestling match can be a good match. Sometimes it can be a bit misplaced. Sometimes it can be just terrible. Well, as a famous Michigan comedian told me once, comedy is serious business. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. I was going to say Dr. Gore. Dr. Gore. No, you have a point there. You have a point there, actually. Yeah, I need a running back against Gore. Smashed a container on my head. A full-on plastic container. I had a fucking bump on my head for like days because of him. Freaking goal. Yeah. I will say though, in terms of like in a bigger picture sort of thing, like let's say in a wrestling event, comedy matches absolutely can play a part. Why? Because sometimes they actually make for what I call a really good in-betweener. Let's say, for example, let's say the first and third match, they are balls to the walls. They are like matches that you expect to be absolutely insane. The rest are going to go full on. Maybe the first one is a hardcore match. The third one is a championship match. And they're going to like exhaust the crowd, because that can be the case. Crowds can get exhausted for matches that go too full on, too much action, too many crazy stunts, too much drama. You know, the crowd can be exhausted from that. And so sometimes you need a match to cool things down. You know, a match that's actually like legitimately some events are actually designed this way, where that second match is going to be a little more chill, a little more relaxed. And sometimes this could be either a grappling match, like something that's a little more like a friendlies match, something that's a little more, or something light-hearted. Hence a comedy match. Maybe it's a match with a goofy angle. Maybe it's a standalone match where there's no story at all, but it's two goofy guys doing goofy things. A palate cleanser, so to speak. That's another good reason to have a comedy match in an event. It is a great palate cleanser to prepare you for, the big finale, the big crazy thing that will happen at the end of the show. That sort of a thing. It's a palate cleanser, and palate cleansers do not have to be boring or stale. Dr. Gore may be a serious wrestler, but he's like William Regal when he's got really good comedy timing. I can attest to that. But again, he's also the guy that smashed a gigantic plastic container on my head. So I have it out for him. It's on site with Gore, as far as yours Zoli is concerned. It's on site. I have not forgotten that plastic container smashed over my head. Absolute nonsense. Oh yeah. So yeah, I do think. So yeah, in my somewhat inconclusive conclusion, comedy wrestling absolutely has a place. It's not like, obviously it's not applicable in every single context. Maybe it shouldn't be relevant, and maybe it shouldn't be just blindly inserted here and there. But it absolutely has its place, to the point where there can be entire promotions that centers on comedy. There can be it can serve a real meaningful purpose, even in storylines too. It absolutely can. It absolutely can. Like, in terms of, like, wrestling storylines that's on the funny side, but people care for it. I suppose, you know, early Kurt Angle days, that's a good one. What's another one? I can't think of any right now. You guys think of any right now? Any, like, funny storylines? I think we're kind of missing that a little bit. I suppose our truth in this whole 24/7 run or Bizango with your you know, doing all those skits. I think that those counts as comedic storylines that got people to care about the wrestlers. I think that actually counts. That actually endeared so many people to, you know, all these comedy wrestlers, because even though they were funny, they were endearing. They got you to care, and that's what it's all about, man. Wrestling is meant to make you care about the wrestlers. If that doesn't induce that feeling in you to care for us wrestlers in whatever way, we're doing our jobs. We ain't doing our jobs right. So yeah. Comedy. Yeah, and I'm glad to see that we're starting to see comedy wrestlers get the recognition that they so deserve, and even the moolah that they so rightly deserve as well. Actually, a good one is this is a pretty obscure one. The whole shtick between Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles and what's his name? The guy without the chin. I forgot his name, but that guy. That of all things, that was a pretty funny storyline. The wrestlers took it seriously, but that was really funny. But it still got people to care for the whole thing, just because they went full on with it. It was still done in a way where, you know, you were invested in it too. So yeah, absolutely, that one. Yeah. James Ellsworth, there you go. So at the time, oh man, that actually that actually turned a lot of people says that this guy who looked like he shouldn't even be out there in tights of all things, was out there with like literally two of the biggest stars in WWE at the time, you know, and he was the focal point, and it all worked. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have anything more to say about comedy wrestling? Because I think I've said all I can say about it. At least for now. Let me just have a quick check on my schedule. Okay. So my next stream is coming Thursday. Doom. Playing Doom again, but I'm playing it at 4:30 p.m. Malaysian time. I'm just trying to try out different times again. See what people like. See if that just experimenting with that again. So I hope you guys can maybe check that out as well. I hope you do. Yeah. So, just one, that's a final notice, folks. So remember, folks, 12th of July in Quash Theatre, TTDI, Kuala Lumpur, my PW Full Throttle is going full throttle in that theatre. And the main event has been set. Carlo Cannon versus Da Butcher Man. Not the Butcher Man, but Da Butcher Man. His first name's not Da. I know his first name, but we're not going to call him by that first name. We just call him Butcher Man. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it, folks. That is about it. Cafe Cornelius is now closing shop, but may Cafe Cornelius never close in your hearts. Have a lovely night, Mina. Have a lovely night. Toodles!